What's up? Oh, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, but I gotta go for it anyway. What's up, Artemo? Alright, that's wrong. Artemio. There we go. Yeah, it took a few, but hey, I shot my shot. I'm just making sure I get the stream set up, so don't mind me here as it looks like I'm clicking all over the place. Sound good?
I texted you.
Oh. Okay. What's the over-under on Max getting here on time? What's up, Gabe? What's up, Roz? Yeah, you're here. You're in the chat. You're not actually here with us in the cool club. Any of you do any sourcing today? No? Bunch of slackers, huh? Only me? I was the only one out there scanning today?
No, I did some sourcing, but I did retail arbitrage today.
Well, give us what you find. Anything?
No. But tomorrow's my big day, so.
That's the story of life when it comes to, going out. Some days you don't find nothing. What's up, Miss Lachey, over in the YouTube chat? What's up, Gail? How you been? We'll never know how Gail is. She's doing good, I guess. All right, now she's unmuted.
Oh, I didn't have my computer, the volume on. How are you?
Good. How about yourself? How's business been?
Oh, it's fine. It's picked up. I got a lot of books since we've been doing the no buy box, and so
as long as they're selling, as long as you see that they're selling.
Yeah, they're selling. Yeah, I've made a few tweaks. Like I leave some of them behind.
Yeah. It's not going to be in every single one type of situation, but I mean, it's money to be had on some of this. Roz says, I don't see me. Roz, I don't know what group you're in, but it ain't this one. There's a link on YouTube and in the Discord. Roz is in a Zoom meeting by herself waiting for us all to show up.
I did switch from desktop to online version of QuickBooks, and I think I'm an idiot, but...
Desktop to online version. I think I use online version. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I've been using it for like 20-some years, so they didn't have the online version.
Oh, Yeah, so now everything's a pain in the butt because now you gotta. Yeah, is it harder? I'm guessing it's more of a pain in the.
I think it's just that it's set out differently. Like I'm used to a certain way it looks, and I'm not. Yeah, and they have things in different places. It's just a learning experience. But I think it'll be nicer because being able to take pictures of the receipts will be really nice.
Oh, Roz finally made it in. It's probably Georgie's fault, the cat's fault. Um, yeah, I do think QuickBooks it can be a lot of work, like figuring it out and keeping up with it. It's just if you got a good CPA, you're going to pay them anyway. I mean, it's really just whatever works for you, honestly.
Well, I've used it for so many years. It was, you know, I just thought it might be easier. Yeah, I think it will be in the end, but just the transition's kind of like a learning experience. I shouldn't have done it at the end of the year. I should have waited until the first of the year.
It could have been worse. Deb switched to GoDaddy last year. So she was using GoDaddy, and then GoDaddy decided just to up and close, give people basically a month warning in the middle of the year. So she went from QuickBooks to GoDaddy, and then she had to go back to QuickBooks because GoDaddy shut down. It was a nightmare for her.
Oh, yeah.
Taxes are fun.
I use that GoDaddy thing.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, it's not bad. What'd you say, Josie? Josie's gone. Yeah, she switched to GoDaddy, QuickBooks. Now she's back at QuickBooks. And QuickBooks, I'm sure they'll raise their price again. It's like they raise their price every year. I think it's like $30 now a month. It used to be only like 25. It might even been 20. Now it's just like everything goes up anymore.
Well, it used to be $190 for 3 years, and then for the desktop version, and then it went up, and I don't even know if they have it's just so much more money. It's like they see the.
Yep, and the fact that it integrates with TurboTax now, they just got everybody basically like, yeah, you basically got to have this or you're screwed. So Max is officially late. I'm going to text him right now.
Hey, Mike, don't you guys anybody use not QuickBooks, but Quicken? Quicken is a real easy, quick and dirty if your business isn't so big.
I've always done QuickBooks. Deb got me on QuickBooks from the beginning, so I couldn't even tell you any other softwares or things like that out there that kind of even work or make sense.
Because Quicken and QuickBooks used to all be part of Intuit, and then they spinned off. But I think I pay $40 a year for it.
I mean, it's a lot cheaper than what I got. But I'm
not as sophisticated as you guys either. I mean, I'm not invoicing anybody or anything, but I do have my books all set up. So I just categorize income and expense and give it to my accountant at the end of the year. Print out a P&L.
I finally broke down and hired an accountant for next year. I'll do this year's taxes myself, and because it's a LLC. But next year it will be a CPA's problem.
It takes a little bit to figure out. I mean, if we basically one day, once we get all of our 1099s and everything, me and Deb will just sit down and the whole day is just us actually. What was this? Hold up, Max texted me back. This just sold. Gotta ship tomorrow. They won't by Christmas. Gotta start now. Sorry. Well, thanks for the heads up, Max. If you watch this replay, thanks for giving me a warning that you're just. He sold the Franklin Library Complete Set 100 Greatest Books with editor notes for $4,680.
Wow.
I don't know where he finds this stuff, but paper gold, this guy. 100 books, he'll probably pack them nice. It'll probably be like $200-$300 in shipping. I mean, that's crazy. And it looks like it's actually somebody that works with him, like a consigner. So that's pretty nuts. I haven't sold anything on eBay in weeks. I've been neglecting eBay, honestly, straight up. It's just, I'm not getting any bang for my buck, and I suck at it. I accept the fact that I suck at it. I don't feel like sitting down and taking the time to understand the platform and do things the right way. So I've just been focusing on basically straight up Amazon all the way. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. More like Fleabay, am I right? Oh, here we go. Lucky Luke chiming in already. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, eBay works. I mean, he just sold five grand basically, one item, one set of books. So it's just not for me. I don't know. It works for people, and it's a good platform, but for me, I'm out of here. Like, Amazon has spoiled me. That's basically what I'm saying, is that Amazon has turned me into a big baby when it comes to reselling, and I don't want to pack. I definitely don't want to take photos of anything. So, I mean, shipping's not bad, but like, I don't know, like when I'm listing books, when I used to list on eBay, I feel like I'd have to take like, probably, I'm usually taking at least 8 pictures of a single book, right? So, for me, I don't know, it sucks. What's up, Luke? Where you been, dude? How cold is it up there today?
Well, it's not too bad because I live in British Columbia, but my aunt in Winnipeg is buried under a few feet of snow.
That's
How is it in Philadelphia? Doesn't it have pretty cold weather there?
Yeah, today was freezing. We go for walks in the morning, and the wind chill is around like 25 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it was pretty cold this morning. And we'll get snow here or there, but I mean, it usually comes and goes. It's nothing like what you guys experience up there.
True.
How's your sales been? What's your business like, dude?
It's been slight uptick for like the Christmas season, I guess, but otherwise relatively normal. Yeah.
You still up to your head in bulk buys, or you kind of giving up on the bulk model for the time being?
Well, that church that I did a bulk buy with like last October, they contacted me again, and I did similar thing this year as well, except I said no fiction books, no gardening, no cookbooks, no crafting, so that like cut things down quite a bit, which was nice, like just as far as like crap I would have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to let you be picky, I always tell everybody, if you have the opportunity to be picky every single time.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's like another thing too, like going into 2024, it's just when you walk onto these huge deals that seem like great deals, like if there's an opportunity where you can be like, hey, I'll pay you, if they're willing to get rid of everything for $100, maybe you go in and you say, hey, I'll pay you $5 or $3 for every item I find from your collection. You can keep everything else, and then you only take the good items and leave behind everything else. Because I think what happens here, we get caught up as solo entrepreneurs. Like 98% of us don't have employees, and like, I mean, how much junk did you have to go through that first pickup, Luke? I mean, it's just like
yeah, that was like nearly 200 boxes.
Yeah, so like, and you're lucky if you're getting 10% accepts out of there, so you got to deal with what is that, 180 boxes that you basically got to get rid of. So it's moving forward for me, bulk is more of a I'm going to be a picky little baby. I rather just pick what I want and leave everything else behind. Now, it does make sense in some situations where you have an employee, right? You have a plan to scale, but most of us, that ain't us. We don't want an employee. We don't know where to start with an employee, and that's perfectly fine. You can scale this business. You can make a crap ton of money by yourself reselling. It's just you get in that spot where you want to do the bulk, but you also want to thrift, and then when you're trying to do the bulk, you're really not making as much as if you were thrifting, and then all of a sudden you got stuff laying all over the place you got to get rid of. For me, I used to get rid of a lot of my books. I used to have the Better World donation book bins. Better World Books is like a huge company, so I would just fill up the book bins. Well, I don't know what's going on with them, but they actually have been getting rid of the bins around me. So I used to have about 10 bins, and now I'm down to like 2.
They don't want your crap anymore, Mike.
Dude, half the times they were full, not even from me. So, like, they were getting a crazy amount of books donated. And, I mean, you really couldn't throw, like, trash or anything in these because these donation bins are almost like, it's almost like a library return slot where you can only fit, like, a book or 2 in there. You can't throw, like, a trash bag in there. So, it's, yeah, they've been closing, well, they've been getting rid of a lot of their donation bins. So that's kind of been eye-opening. For me at least, because that's one less place I can to get rid of stuff. What's up, Josh? Give us a little update here. Driving around.
Driving home so I can go mail some packages.
Where are you driving home from? Work?
Yeah, from work.
Yeah, it's a never-ending battle.
It is. So just scale it up.
Eyes on the road, buddy.
Yeah, eyes on the road, dude. We don't need a live accident here.
We're stopped here. We're stopped.
Sure. That'll be it for me. I'll be getting sued. There'll be all kinds of YouTube videos out.
Yeah.
Ruining resellers' lives.
Eyes on the road. Eyes on the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How your sales been? Your sales good?
Killer. Should be at 50 orders for the day right now.
Very nice.
So that's about what we've been running.
It's weird. I will say this. It's weird being an Amazon seller, honestly, and being like somebody that's on social media and have a YouTube channel, because I see a lot of people saying, oh, sales are slow on these other platforms. And I think to myself, like, I don't know. Like, for me, I'm up over last year. And I just try. I'm not doing anything. It's not like I have. Last year, I had 3 times the amount of inventory that I have this year in Amazon. So for me, it's kind of weird trying to navigate the playing field of like, I don't want to tell people like, hey, your business sucks, or like you got to switch to a different platform or give something else a shot. But at the end of the day, that's what you got to do. Like, you got to be willing to make some kind of change in your business besides crying. But for some reason, resellers go immediately to wah, wee, wah. And then it's like, once they get that one little bit of positive reinforcement that the sky's falling, they just run with it.
With Amazon, it's simple. We only have so many things to complain about. We know either you have the buy box or you don't. It's either price driven and you're not competitive with your pricing, or you have crap items in there. If you send in all 1.5 million plus books, slow moving crap, yeah, you're not going to get your sales rate. You're not going to meet your metric.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's actually that simple, or is there enough randomness in how Amazon works that sometimes like you can get screwed over? Or is it usually just a matter of like what you're doing as the seller, you're making a mistake?
It's a matter of price. With Amazon, having the buy box, having your stuff priced right.
But like,
I deal with bulk, so
Mike, you've talked about like people losing the buy box and not getting the buy box, and different people like getting their accounts suspended and stuff like that. Is it really on the sellers? Like, are they making legitimate mistakes, or is there random things with Amazon that just kind of like happens?
I think it is. It's a little bit of both, because every time any single one of us sells a new item on Amazon that isn't purchased directly from a legitimate supplier, we run the risk of them calling our bluff and asking for an invoice, which we can't provide. Sure, they might accept your store invoice, but I do think it is a little bit of both here, because I would argue the same thing with the buy box is, I never lost a buy box in any categories. What's up, Josh? Josh is over in the YouTube channel. I think that what happened here was people weren't sending in maybe enough items in those categories over a specific time frame. So Amazon started to take the buy box away from people. Throughout this whole time, I was always sending in every week books, CDs, DVDs in every single shipment. So it was easy for me to not lose the buy box. But we didn't even think this could happen, right? So this just all of a sudden springs onto everybody. So I do think there is a little bit to be said about both. You have to race to the bottom on Amazon. I know we all can cry about Amazon's a race to the bottom, but we still have enough ROI. Even if we race to the bottom, we still make money. I think playing the game of you're going to wait in line 2 or 3 for the 5th sale, I don't think that could ever come. Like, honestly, with Amazon, like, who's to say somebody else doesn't hop on the listing and undercut the bozo that's already undercutting you that you're waiting out? That's why I always say you got to, as much as everybody hates it and everybody will run their mouth about it, people that undercut by a penny are the cesspool of reselling. Well, I guess I'm the leader of the cesspool because I will continue to undercut. And if you don't think a penny matters for buy box on Amazon, you are wrong. Amazon, like David said, it's all about price.
So we redid the strategy with my repricer this last month and a half, and I'm between the other thing I'm doing as well, but I'm up 100%. I've doubled my sales in the last month and a half.
Okay, well, what's your secret, dude? You're saying, oh, I'm rich, but I'm going to tell you how I got here.
Undercutting the Bible. We're undercut.
Dude, I'm reporting you to everybody.
Go ahead. I'm still making sales with good prices. I'm not complaining. But I'm seeing much better buy box share.
For everybody that thinks undercutting at a penny doesn't matter, it does. David hit it right on the head. Amazon wants the lowest price for their customer, even if it's one stinking stupid penny. And anybody out there that's like, well, if you multiply that, Mike, if you have 5,000 listings and you're repricing 20 times a day and you're undercutting by 1 penny, you're losing $3 trillion a day. Well, listen, cash flow flows. You need the money to keep the business alive. You can't just be this person that hangs on to this stuff, especially like we were talking about. If you send in slow moving stuff, you have to be the lowest price. If that item sells once a month and that time comes around and you're not the lowest price, you're not the buy box, you got to wait another month for another chance that hopefully the person actually buys the item in the buy box, right? Maybe this item that sells once a month, somebody goes and buys it FBM because the price is a lot lower than FBA, right? So it's not even just the FBA offers you got to worry about, especially with the slower moving stuff. It's the FBM offers sometime. If there's a huge difference, and I say this all the time, right? You find a book, the sales score is 6. It sells once a month. The FBM offers are $8. You see that, Luke's selling it for $50, and the buy box is going to Luke at $50, right? So you think to yourself, wow, I can just undercut Luke and I'll get the sale. I would argue against that. I would argue you need to be realistic with the price you're asking for a specific item. This is the time where if you have a Keep a subscription, or if you don't have a Keep a subscription, go into the sales history chart on Scoutly and take a look for what it sold. Just because the buy box price is through the roof doesn't mean you undercutting that means you're going to get the sale, because any person that looks and says, well, it's $50 for this book, and then they see, oh, others used from $8, like that's too much of a difference to justify the prime bump. Like, Johnny sent me a Bible he found earlier, and the used buy box was over $15,000, and the Bible last sold for like $30. It's one of those things where, yes, there are times when we can be greedy, but those big disparities, you just have to be like, okay, sure, the buy box is going to $50. If I get something like that and the FBMs are at 8, then I'm probably going to go closer to, like, I'll probably list it at $29.99. I'll make my $18 on the book, move on to the next one. It'll sell. Now, if you price it all the way up there, it might never sell. It might sell. It's just one of those things where you just got to know the data you're looking at. You can't just be like, oh, willy-nilly, I'm going to list it for whatever the listing software tells me to list it for. Like, them days are gone. It used to be like that, just like you used to be able to walk into a Goodwill and leave with an IKEA bag full of books. It used to be like a whole lot of stuff back in the day. Now, times are changing. It's getting tougher. Margins are getting smaller. But how you win is doing things other people ain't doing, which is paying attention to your phone when you're scanning and paying attention to your listing software when you're listing. Don't just nobody here would just be like, hey, you on the street, I want you to come list this stuff for me. That's basically what you're doing when you're not paying no attention and you're just going off whatever price the software has built in. Yes, the software has these built in. Oh, you're going to match the buy box, or like scan lister, I undercut the buy box by 1 penny. But I take 3 seconds to look and see if this makes sense. If there's going to be a time you want to spend an extra 3 seconds in your business, it's going to be when you're initially pricing your item to send into Amazon, right? What if it's a fast moving item? There's one or two people on there. This book sells every single day, and they're at $12. The new buy box is $25. Think to yourself, by the time you label this book, it gets to Amazon, it gets checked in at Amazon. How many more times did this book sell? Why would you price down at the $13, $12 mark? If I got that book, I'm pricing it probably closer to $18, $19. If worse comes to worse, your repricer is going to catch it and bring it down to where it needs to be. But these are opportunities and situations where we have to take advantage of and put the extra dollars in our pocket. Does everybody here? I'm just curious when it comes to like pricing and repricing. What are some people's strategies? Like, what are some tips and tricks you all have out there for the wonderful world to hear?
If an item sells often enough, sometimes I'll price it a bit higher than the lowest price, and I'll set it as to exclude that UPC from repricing settings.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like if it sells like 120 in 6 months or whatever.
I think a lot of people get this idea of like, and this is where like Keepa can kind of hurt you, right? Like you see that it's sold for I was in a mood the other day. I forget what day it was, and I said because somebody asked me if I had Keepa, and I said no, I don't have Keepa. I don't care what the item sold for back in 1795, right? I'm selling it in the year 2023, right? That what is the market today? I don't care what happened last year, the year before. And I think this hinders people almost when it comes to pricing, because if just imagine if you look at Keepa for every single item you send in this week, and you look at the highest amount it's sold for used, and what if in your mind you think to yourself, well, the CD sold used at $30 6 months ago, so I'm going to price mine at $30, and I'm not willing to wiggle down more than $2 or $3. All of a sudden, you got all this inventory that ain't moving because you're going off data that's washed up. It's gone. The market is always changing with media, and you got to have cash flow. Even if you just get your money back, like if I give you $2 today, that you're going to go make the most money you possibly can with those $2. And in the future, if you get another $2, you're going to be smarter. You're probably going to find a better item to spend that $2 on. So you got to look at it that way. I know it's like you're not going to make $1 million on everything. And I was thinking about like even doing a video on like my biggest sales of the year, and I think to myself, like, I really don't have that many sales where it's like $200, $300, $400, $500. It's all between the $20 and $50 mark is where I make all of my money. It's just a whole bunch of basically, just turn and burn, turn and burn, turn and burn. And I think for some reason we get caught up with trying to get the most money all the time. And with Amazon, you got to be willing to just part ways and get out of Dodge. I mean, even if you just look at the removal fees. Once a month I go back, whatever month's getting liquidated, I go in and it shows you how much the Amazon FBA fee is, and I'll just basically match the price just to get rid of it so I don't have to pay the liquidations. Break even, move on to the next product. That's kind of how I look at it when it comes to pricing. Don't get caught up with this, well, it sold for $3,000 last year, or it's I mean, who cares what it's sold for? I could see, like, if you're looking at something, maybe it's a high demand item and you see that it sold for X amount last month, but I mean, last month, we're talking this month, a lot can happen in a month. It's like, I don't know. I think Keepa scares a lot of people off and has this false hope that you can get top dollar from what somebody paid for it X amount of time ago, when in reality today is today's market, right? I mean, a good example of this would be, look at Jimmy Buffett and Taylor Swift CDs, right? If you go look at the Keep on those, you probably could buy them last year for $3 FBM, and now you're not getting any of those for under $15, regardless of the title. So like, keep it is just, it's a history, it's data, and basically what we do is interpret data. I just don't want people to get caught up because it sold for X amount of dollars back then. Doesn't mean it's going to sell for the same amount today. And usually with media, unless it's collectible, it's usually going down in price as it gets older. I mean, that's just the reality of media overall, in my opinion. What's up, Brian? Give me a little update on your CDs.
So I'm still going through them. I've got a stack that I'm going to go ahead and list in bulk for FBM, probably about 30 or so that are new sealed. They all had scores of 0 to 2, but I noticed there's not a lot of new ones out there, so I'm going at them with probably a minimum of $14.99 with a floor price of $8.99. One of the things that I kind of wish to reprice it did, and I can't, if the feature's there, I can't find it, but because of the fees, you can get by with going lower on CDs. I mean, the things weigh, 3 ounces, maybe 4 ounces in a case.
Yeah.
So Amazon charges the fees and all that. So you're sitting there looking and you're saying, okay, well, I can go down to $8.99. I can set that. But my fear is it'll take a 2-pound book and put it down at that price, and then I pay Amazon to sell it, not the other way around. And I don't see any way of doing that. I don't see a way in reprice it to pick categories.
No.
You know, it's everything. So that's one of those kind of things I got to kind of keep an eye on. And when you were talking about letting stuff sell, my thought was, how do I prevent myself from winding up paying Amazon to sell my book as opposed to the other way around if I've got to keep competing against Goodwill of Seattle that's selling $1 for $2.99, and they're using their 5013C postage, which nobody can compete with, to ship their stuff.
Yep, it's every year margins get tighter. I mean, I will say this: the big companies in the media world, they have to be hurting. I mean, especially with this new fee coming out, the whole idea of selling a book to break even or even at a loss for a business write-off, it's not sustainable now, and it's definitely not going to be sustainable when they tack on the extra 88, 87 cents per unit these people are selling. But yet again, like Brian said, they're a charity. They get it all for nothing, right? So you kind of can do whatever you want. And, if you've seen the news, the CEO, 98 cents of every dollar is being stolen by a Goodwill CEO somewhere, right? It's pretty crazy the times we live.
So I shop at those Goodwills sometimes. They're about an hour away from me.
Okay, did you see him putting cash in his pockets from the register or what?
No. I never met the guy. I didn't get that far. But they do not scan the books. So they're a good area, a good place to go.
It's hit or miss.
They just charge too much.
Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you I hate Goodwill prices, but I also have probably made $20,000-$30,000 off of Goodwill DVDs and CDs this year because they don't scan the disc media around me, and they're always priced $2.99, whether it's new, whether it's used, and you can clean up in some of these Goodwills with the disc media. Now, books, 90% of my Goodwills scan the books. I mean, I feel bad when I see a book scanner in there. The few times I have, and they got nothing, and I'm just yanking DVDs out. But hey, you got to adapt and change, right? These people that only want to sell only books, I'm here to tell you, the road is not easy. It is going to be a difficult task in front of you selling only books on Amazon. The way the fees are structured, it is harder and harder to find the profitable books we used to a year or 2 years ago. That's why I highly tell everybody, hey, spend the $20, CDs, DVDs, you'll change your life overnight. And some people have strayed away from books completely. And I mean, honestly, maybe it gets to that point where we all wind up, books are kind of, you know, like an afterthought to us. It got us where we are, but I think, you know, disc media, like Brian was saying, you could sell a CD for $8 FBA, you still make $1. You ain't selling no book on planet Earth for $8 and making any money on Amazon.
Yeah, but hey, Brian, on those CDs you're talking about, have you looked on eBay for any of them? Do they have any sales history?
Some of them do, and the price is there. Again, Goodwill, you know, Tacoma or Goodwill, whatever, they've got stores on eBay too, and they're selling them for the exact same lowball $2.99 price that
Okay, well,
you know, I would have to compete against, and they're doing free shipping. Oh, $2.99 CDs.
well, I'd ignore that, and I would urge you maybe go up a little bit. If it's new sealed stuff and there's no listings on there, you might go up a little bit.
Okay. I watched an episode of the other guy that you talk about, Mike, one foot flipper.
Yeah.
And he talked about you know, some of the things that he doesn't do and his reason behind it. And I kind of looked at my store compared to whatever, and I'll admit my eBay store is not my priority. It's Amazon, but I have a lot of stuff on there, and I'm not going out and looking unless I stumble across something really good. What I'm mostly doing is selling my personal stuff. So I was a model builder, so I have a ton of models that I never put together. After I had cataract surgery, my close-in vision went crap, and I can't do it anymore. I can't see the little parts, all that kind of stuff. So I'm selling them. And I'm not selling them for super high, but a lot of them are new sealed, and I'm not going to let them go for cheap. And I've got one item that I'm thinking about selling that's going to go free shipping, only because there's only one other item on there just like it. And I can get about $80 for it. So free shipping would not be terrible, but everything else I'm making them pay for shipping. So
makes sense.
And I still sell. I don't sell, you know, I'm not like Johnny B where, you know, I got 30 or 40 orders going out a day. I might have 3 or 4 a week, but hey, I'm getting rid of my stuff, and the money that's coming in, I'm actually using to put into buying inventory for Amazon.
Hey, that's the same way I do. I just use my eBay money for Amazon. I'm curious here because I know Eric has kind of moved away from books a little bit and focused more on disc media. So I want to get a little bit of his idea behind getting away from the books, and you know why he's kind of gone down this path to kind of focus more on the disc media.
I mean, so for myself, when it came to the buy box for books, for example, the buy box for books for me, even though we were sending in books at the time, I kept on getting it taken away and given back, taken away and given back. But CDs and DVDs always remained consistent. Another thing is, starting at my new job, I went from working 4 10-hour shifts to having 3 days off, to now back to the 5/8. So work 5 days a week for 8 hours and have 2 days off. So I was like trying to assess the business, and since we had no buy box, books weren't moving, but CDs and DVDs were. And when I would go into the like Goodwills, libraries and stuff, those are very easy to scan through. Less the cover scans, but more so if I have a little bit more time, I'll take it a bit, because the ones that I do usually cover scan, 99% of the time, they're a hit because nobody takes the extra time to do so. So since then, and then inventory got really, really low. So I just was going through like ebbs and flows. Now, finally, about last month, we sent in close to 100 CDs and DVDs across the board, new and used. And also now this month, this past Sunday, I sent out another 60 DVDs and CDs. And so for the month, we've sent a little close to 138 in total. So, and I'm noticing that they're selling way faster than books and stuff, new and used. You know, some more obscure and stuff, but for the most part, I really enjoy the disc media now. It's just faster for me, easier to ship, and the fees too. It's crazy. You sell DVD or something for like, or a DVD or a CD for like over $20, you're getting back almost darn near close to that $20 mark. So you're getting way more money in your pocket for a little bit less work, not so heavy intensive. So it's been awesome. Now I'm reassessing like my reprice it. I'm haggling with the fact of dropping my floor price down, since it is DVDs and CDs, and just like Brian mentioned, once you go down, I think it's like below that $9.99 mark or $10 mark, the fees kind of go in your favor, even if you sell a CD or a DVD, because it's so small and so cheap. The fees on it, you're still making back. Either you're breaking even or you're making a little bit money on the back end.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny you mentioned that. My wife wanted to order a special CD for a musical that we're going to take the grandkids to next year. Mm-hmm. So the gift was going to be, a ticket, the CD to the music, and then 4 tickets because we're taking the granddaughter and everybody. So she ordered the CD. There was one available buy box FBA and one FBM, and she had to get 2 of them. So the one FBA came, and of course it's a CD, and it came in a frickin' box like this. That's Amazon. That's Amazon's logic. The CD, a box this big, and 2 airbags. So the other one's coming from, somebody doing it like me. I don't know where they are, but it showed up in, a regular old poly bag for, whatever the medium mail price is, the cheapest $3.99, whatever it is. So that kind of gives you, I don't understand how Amazon makes money, because there's still something to be said for volume in shipping. Even though there's no weight to it, there's still something to be said for how much space does this thing take up in the truck. And yet Amazon still shipped it in, that box with 2 airbags rather than putting it in a poly bag.
I'm curious.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Eric, are you resurfacing anything, or if it doesn't pass the eye test, you leave it behind at the store?
So I am very guilty. Like for myself, I have even sent in and it's sold, and thank goodness no returns. But if I look at it, I'm like, I don't resurface it. I may look at it and I have some, glass cleaner that I just go use my microfiber cloth. Hey, it's brand new. Send it on. Send it on its way.
I understand. Pledge works better than window cleaner, Eric.
Oh, okay. I'll do that then. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I haven't dropped I think it's like 200 or something, or around like 150 to 200 for a JFJ, because it's like for myself, I just want to go out there. As long as I see it's not like overly scratched. This one Xbox game that I recently sent in, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it was really badly. It didn't look like so bad after I cleaned it up a little bit. It did look a little bit like, it had its scratches. It does show use, but still sent it in. You use the same like canned little description that I use, and then went on about its merry way. It hasn't sold yet. I noticed that the last few boxes I've sent in, holidays, of course, it's taken a longer time for it to check in. So I'm sure once the inventory goes live, it should sell right away, because the e-score was around like 40 or 50-ish, and I paid like $2 for it. So,
Now, one of the things you have to remember about games versus CDs is that games, most of it loads up into, the Xbox or the PlayStation or whatever you've got, and it's played from there. They only get that to get the keys off of it and a few other ads, whereas you put a CD in a CD player and it's got a scratch, you're going to hear it. So sometimes you might get a little better off with the game doing that than actually a CD or a DVD, because of the way it plays. I go through, what I do is, I do that. We have a media server, and if I see a CD that's open that I like, I'll throw it in my laptop and I'll rip the CD, and if it rips, it plays. It's as simple as that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but like I said, for the most part, no resurfacer, haven't invested in a JFJ. Mostly doing eye test. If it looks like extremely scratched, or for the most part, if it's scratched, I'll still pick it up. The only time I won't pick it up is if I see like that, what do you call it? The disc rot, or even chips around like the inner circle of the CD or DVD. I won't pick that up because I had a mistake. I actually picked one up like that and it wouldn't play. And when I sent it, it got sent back, of course, because it's not playing. And I had, at that time I had removal orders sent back to me and I was like, oh, makes sense. So, yep. As long as it doesn't have a chip, I just do the eye test, clean it up with a little bit of window cleaner, and then microfiber cloth and out the door.
What were you going to say, David?
I'm kind of on the opposite side of things. I have a EcoPro 2 machine that cleans anything in 30 seconds. So I clean everything I send in, and it takes seconds. And you're not playing around with the FJ thing where you can screw it up and you have to do all these steps. If you use a better machine, it is literally looks like a bread box. You pop it in there, it runs for 30 seconds, comes out. Beautiful. And I think I've sold like 2,500 CDs in the last 5 months, and I've gotten one back. And that was somebody just being bullshit.
Is that the one where you can load multiple discs, or is that just the one disc at a time?
Nope, it's a one disc. The big multiple systems, I actually live by the factory that produces them. And I went and looked at them, and those ones grind the CDs and do all kinds of stuff, except they're really slow. It does 50 CDs in 4 or 5 hours, whereas I can set somebody at this machine, and while the CD is being cleaned, you fix or replace the case, and you're sending in something that is damn near perfect. And, the machine is not cheap to buy, but its running cost is 6 or 7 cents. So,
yeah, and those actually do all the cleaning and drying, right? You literally pop it out and it goes, unlike the JFJ.
I do absolutely nothing after the fact. I mean, it is beautiful.
Yeah, that I actually I resurfaced like 15 discs before this call, and it's it can take a lot of time with the disc media, like checking all the discs and making sure they're good to go. So there is a trade-off when it comes to the books versus disc media as you scale up.
But if you have the machines, I can do, if I'm doing it myself, I can do about 45 CDs in an hour and have them beautiful and recased if needed, or case wiped down and in its little plastic bag in an hour. So, it's not a big deal just because you're not dealing with any other stuff. Now you're spending $1,500 on the machine, or $1,800 if you buy it retail, I guess. But it's a matter of how much time did it take to do those 15. If you're resurfacing. So I'm just after speed.
Right, I hear you. Yeah, because even with disc media, you're right. Like every little bit counts, especially for like cases and whatnot. If it's a really damaged case, like where the front of the case or like the back of the case, if the back of the case has like a crack in it, still send it in. Just notate it on the listing details. And if it's on the front still, but if it has like, where it's like cracked at the opening, like where it's like the whole face is falling off, it's usually take the time to, pop out one of the ones that I have here that are one of my duds or something like that and just swap out cases and whatnot. So time is definitely,
Yeah, with the disc media, you can easily lose a lot of your time swapping out cases, resurfacing. I'll say this, I've never tested a single disc or DVD. I think, I don't even understand. Like, I got a little bit over 100 CDs today from my one source, and like, if I had to test 100 CDs, just the time opening my little flip top Sony CD player and putting it in and waiting for it to. I mean, I never get anything sent in. It all just sit there.
No, that'd be a few hours of work.
Yeah, that is like the trade off to the books, right? You just make sure the sticker's off the book and you throw it in the box. There's really no prep besides just fanning through the pages to make sure there's no money and or any other types of nonsense that could be in a book. So yeah, it is it's all a trade off, honestly. It's like and like David was saying, right? You get to a point where you're making X amount of dollars and your time is maxed out. So how can you leverage your money to get your time back? I think we all kind of hit that point in the reselling business, and we have to decide who we want to be, where we want to go with the business, and what processes we can refine. Because I think with a lot of resellers, the reselling for the most part, the people aren't good with money. Money management sucks amongst resellers. If I just had to like take a generic survey, if I think resellers actually like reinvest X amount, save X amount, and spend X amount on themselves, no. Usually just something sells and you immediately think to yourself, oh, I got $10 I can go spend, right? It's not, there's no really next level thinking when you get the money in your account. So for me, I always look at it, okay, I always tell everybody this. You're not ungated in CDs and DVDs yet. You go out and source. You get a pile of $50, $100 in profit. You buy the Christian book to get ungated. Okay, you want to go down the road of this media. You're selling 2,500 CDs. Okay, you can afford to spend the $1,500 on the better machine, right? These are the progressive steps you have to make in business. And what happens here is people get to a point where they don't have the money to buy the machine. They do, but they've spent it on other things besides their business. And all of a sudden, you never get anywhere. And then you just start kicking your tires, and things start to go down, and then you wind up going away. For me, I always look for the next way I can get time back, right? And I think a lot of resellers just, we don't care. We'll just sit in our business 100 hours a week, and yeah, it'll be great. I'll be miserable. I'll be up all night dealing with the nonsense. I got the opposite mind of thinking. I want to work as little as I can and make as much money as I can. Call it what you want. You want to say, oh, you're lazy. You're not in thrift stores 5 days a week. You don't got to be in thrift stores 5 days a week to make a crap ton of money selling media on Amazon. I'm here to tell everybody that, Be productive. Don't go to one thrift store 5 days a week. Go one day and hit all 5 thrift stores. All of a sudden, boom, all that time's right back in your pocket. All that gas money, all that driving. I just try to get these things through to people because that's the only way you get anywhere in reselling is refining your processes and getting a better use out of your time, especially us that don't want to hire somebody, right? I mean, it's just, most of us don't want to hire somebody. I'm here to tell you, I really don't want to hire somebody. Then you got to deal with the responsibility of another person and the payroll, and it's like it's a whole headache. So most resellers are like, hey, we just want to be ourselves. Well, you only got so many hours in a week. I'm here to tell you this. And I think a lot of people, they start reselling and it's fun at first, and then all of a sudden it starts to turn into, oh, I got to resell today. And that's when that's when you really got to find it in yourself, because I'll tell you what, I don't look at reselling even today as like a drag, like, oh, I got to resell today, it sucks. Like, to me, I'm like, this is sweet. I'd rather do this all day long than work a job. But for people, they turn it into jobs, like worse than jobs. Like, half of these resellers should just honestly go get a job. You make a whole lot more money and you probably work a whole lot less. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing since I went into this like 5-day working 8 hours a day job now, because now I have to really prioritize my time. So before, as when I went to a source, I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll scan this, maybe I'll scan that. It's like, no, where are the CDs, DVDs? Scan through them fast, keep on watching on my phone, because not all rejects are rejects. If you know, you know. Yeah. So going from there, and then also trying to build those relationships and trying to get more inventory coming to me instead of going out and finding said inventory. So, so far I've built a relationship with a gentleman who does storage locker cleanouts. They don't like dealing with the DVDs or the CDs, so I gave him a few cards that I had, and I already dealt with him before, so he knows that the process is easy and quick. Bring them all to me. You know, we meet at a police station for safety. Boom, done, near you. And it's like out like that. Off of that, we made our money back and then some through buyback company and also sending it off to FBA. Now, talking with different people like librarians and stuff and getting backroom access and also having them bring out more inventory to me because they just didn't have the room to fill it. All it does is take a simple question. Hey, I noticed you have books and DVDs out here. Do you have any CDs? I noticed you have CDs and DVDs. Do you have any books? You know, that simple question. Like, that woman was extremely happy to bring out a full cart, like 5 different boxes full of DVD or full of CDs. And out of 2 box sets, we were already in profit over $100. And I paid like, I think it was around for the whole lot. It was extremely cheap. So we made our money back 10 times for just asking those simple questions.
I'm curious. Why do new people to like reselling media always run for like huge bulk, like lots of inventory? It's never like oh, I'm just gonna start with thrift stores, right? It's always like, well, I came across this deal and I can get Gaylords, or I can buy this collection for X amount of dollars. I think to myself, like, my mindset's almost the complete opposite now, right? Like I was saying earlier, like, I want to take the good stuff and leave everything else behind. But I think that mentality is far and few in between, especially when it comes to books, because I guarantee you now, if I go in some of the Facebook groups and just say, hey, I have a Gaylord for $100, comment below and I'll pick somebody, I guarantee you there'll probably be 1,000 comments. For some reason, we run towards these huge amounts of inventory. And I think honestly, it depends what your business model is. For somebody like me, I don't ever want to be in a situation where I have a tractor trailer of Gaylords of anything being backed up to my residence or my storage unit. I don't have the processes, I don't have the employees, but time and time again, I see these stories where people start out with Gaylords or huge amounts of inventory, and you think to yourself, wow, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be a billionaire. And then all of a sudden it's 95% junk. And that's it. You go away that fast. Where if you just would have started with thrifting, you only found the good stuff, bought the good stuff, maybe you gain traction and you don't lose the opportunity of reselling because you decided to take one wrong step into bulk.
I think I think the process has to be the opposite. Starting with thrift and making sure that you can actually sell the shit on Amazon and get a consistent 20 whatever percent sell-through rate every month. And then you can look at those bulk things and step it up. I'm kind of in the opposite side of you. I started with thrift stores. I did this like 10 years ago with CDs, went through a divorce, business went away with the divorce, and then I was kind of burnt on Amazon for a long time. So when I restarted this back in March, I did thrift stores. And then I found somebody locally that had 2 pallets sitting in their garage that they never did anything with. They bought them from somewhere and they just sat there. And then I bought 6 from someplace, and then 10, and then 12. And actually next month I have 52 showing up at my facility. But I made sure that I could still hit my same averages, and then figuring out a process to quickly go from this pallet, which is a shitload of CDs. It's 2,200 to 2,600 per Gaylord. And then, okay, out of this, I'm going to send 5% to Amazon, which is what it is, which exactly as you says, leaves you with 95% of crap. Now, thankfully, I've got somebody that's buying 95% of my crap. He comes over with his trailer twice a month and picks it up. Works awesome for me. I get my money back. I'm a happy camper. But you also have to have backups, because if that guy gets hit by a bus and I have 130,000 CDs, in a couple of months, I have to have other options. And I sort in such a way that if I had if I had to do that, the sub-back is separated. The new stuff is it's not separated by category or anything, but it's set up so I could sell it differently. But I love the idea of somebody coming in with their big Suburban and dual axle trailer and just loading it up and leaving.
Yeah, I think that kind of leads to like what you said is
Yeah.
reselling is like such an opportunity for us to take advantage of that isn't going to be forever. In the way we see it today, this opportunity, if we're having the same conversation 5-10 years from now, like this is a completely different ever shift. Every year things are changing. So I think we have to seize this opportunity in front of us and also have like a plan of where we want to be. Like what do we want to get out of reselling? Because if you just think like I'm just a reseller and I make a little bit of money every week, every month, every year, like I think we have to have some kind of exit strategy to a degree with reselling, and resellers refuse to believe this, right? Because you see it all the time. I've been selling on eBay since they opened back in 1883. Cool. Well, what are you still doing selling? Like, haven't you made enough money to move on to? And yes, it's cool, right? We all kind of say that going out in thrift stores is like the hunt of the chase, and finding cool stuff. Maybe we keep for ourselves. You can have it in that aspect, but like right now, like if you're looking to make as much money as you can to change maybe your life or get out of debt or something, today is the day you have to step up. It's not next week or the week after. And when you start making the money, use it strategically. It doesn't all like I'm not saying be a loser and never go to the casino and spin the slots, right? Our ROI is high enough you can go to the casino and eat Chick-fil-A whenever you want, but you also have to have the money to put back into the business. And then what's the next step for you in your life? Is that, paying for a vacation, paying for a wedding, marriage, getting out of debt, all these things. And that's kind of what reselling has allowed me to do, is get out of debt and save a whole bunch of money. And over time, it compounds, right, the money you're saving. So don't think of like, oh, well, I made $1,000 this week reselling, so I can spend $1,000 on crap I don't need. And that's kind of the mentality we get into, and we wind up with all this stuff that we really don't need. And, it's the same way when resellers start reselling. I mean, come on. I used 30 Up labels for like 3+ years. I didn't even have a listing software for the first 3 years of selling media on Amazon. What do people do nowadays when they start selling on Amazon? They got a Dymo. They got the most expensive listing software. They got a JFJ they don't need. I mean, these people haven't even sent in a single box to Amazon yet. And we get in this mindset of, well, I need all the cool, fancy bells and whistles. I'm here to tell you ain't going to get you nowhere. You're going to fail.
So I still use my regular printer with 30 Up labels. I don't have any problem doing that. It would be kind of nice to have a label printer, but I don't have to do it. And I have taught myself how to use the listing software that comes with Scoutly. I can get through it now fairly decently. Not having anything to compare it to, so I don't know if it's better than ScanLister or any of the other ones or not, but I make it work. So, and that's it. I did buy the little ring scanner. That was you, Mike. You got me buying the little ring scanner.
Dude, the ring scanner is the best one. I'm tired of seeing these posts. Oh, go buy a $10 Bluetooth scanner. I've had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of scans on this ring scanner. It gives you 2 hands capability. No one's ever going to tell me there's a better scanner out there. I don't care what anybody says.
So this was my first one. It was one of the ones that Reezy recommended when I first started watching reselling. It does have its purpose. If I plug it into my laptop, I can use it when I'm scanning into eBay, and it just puts the barcode in the search box. Yeah. So it works for it, doing that, and the Bluetooth on my laptop is flaky, so this works perfectly for that. So it's not like it's being wasted. But yeah, I thought about this year. My wife said, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I thought, well, do I ask for a Rolo or one of the other ones? And I said, no, I'll get by with the 30 Up. In fact, it's gotten to the point, I haven't been in a while, but I was finding packages and packages of the good 30 Up labels, the ones made by what's the heck's the name of the company that does all the fancy labels you buy in the Avery. Yeah. I've been finding them in the bins and paying 20 cents for it. So I got like 4 packages there. I must have 300 No, I probably got close to 3,030 up labels that I can go through before I need to worry about doing a scanner.
I think, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I come off like a boomer, right? Like, oh,
Hey, wait a minute. I resent that.
I had to do 30 up labels for 3 years, but I do think, like Josh said, there is some validity to actually understanding Amazon from the ground up and not just trying to skip all these steps. Then when something goes sideways, you don't know exactly what to do to get yourself out of a situation. So it's a balancing act, honestly. I think it's different things for different folks. And like Eric was saying, trying to scale this business part time, it can be difficult. And if you do sink yourself with a bulk book pickup where you're moving 5,000 pounds of books and you're only getting 5% of that, like that can easily just automatically, you're like, I'm done with reselling. Like, I think about it today, like if I would have ran into some of the bulk deals that I ran into when I first started, I would have quit. There's no way. Why the hell am I going to lift 5,000 pounds of books to make $300? Like, this, it doesn't make sense to me. And for some reason we continually, as new resellers, just like we're just a glutton for punishment. Like, hey, sure, why not? I'll take everything you got. Why? It's the same argument I make for people that list everything that don't have processes. Well, I got it for free, Mike, and I can make $2. Okay, well, let's really break down your $2 here. You got to list it. You got to label it. You at least got to look at the item. If it's Amazon, you got to pack the item. If it's eBay, you got to take pictures of the item. I mean, there's so many things that go in to reselling besides just being in the thrift store and finding the profitable items. And I know it's like, oh, value your time. I say it all the time, but for some reason we still continuously are just like, well, it's free, so I gotta sell it, I guess. Like if somebody showed up to my front door and said, here's a box of random media, you want it? I'm gonna say no. I don't know what's in that thing. Get out of here. I don't want to deal with what you got going on. It's I'm as picky as I've ever been. And I'm here to tell you, it's changed my whole business. I'm not working 60 hours in the Amazon business. I'm putting in 20 to 25 hours a week in my Amazon business. I'll do probably close to right around 75K in sales on the year. I have no debt. I can live comfortably on what I make, and that's just my Amazon business alone, right? I got other things going on. YouTube makes me a little bit of money. I do the Amazon influencer program. That makes me a little bit of money every single month. And start thinking other ways to make more income, right? Because we all know one day Amazon comes knocking for their invoices. I ain't got none. So I'm gonna be like, yo, Eric said I could sell these. And I'm like, what's Eric's name? I'll give his full name, his address, his social security number. And then
oh my gosh.
Hey, if they take me down, you're all going down. I got a list of everybody's information, all right? It's going to be a mass exodus. So what else we got going on before we wrap up here? Nothing at all.
So you mentioned sources. There was a guy that remember the very first CD bulk buy I did, which was well over a year ago, was with this guy that had 2,200 CDs bulk. It was stuff that he had gotten from a clean out guy. And he had let some young guy come through, and the guy picked out most of the rock. And we went over and negotiated. I wound up buying it all from him for, I think it was $175. Well, I made the money back within about 2 months plus, because there was a bunch of stuff in there that was new, sealed, and a lot of religious stuff that was worth some money. So I've been in contact with this guy. So it's to the point now where he calls me about every 3 or 4 months. And I go over, and he's got between 300 and 400 CDs for me, some new, some not, and I buy them off of them for 10 cents a pop.
I think that's a good point. I think I gotta get this slogan like engraved somewhere, maybe even tattooed. When you're doing bulk buys for media, you're always going to make your money back, but you can lose a whole lot of time. Every single bulk buy you do, you're going to make money as long as you're not overpaying. But the time it's going to take you, I mean, it can get way out of hand with some of this stuff. And I think to myself too, like, just scanning it, right? So scanning it, it's a yes or a no. What are you doing with it after that? Like, If I'm driving to the Better World book bins, are you factoring that time? Are you factoring that gas? What if you go to the bin and it's full? All of a sudden, you got to go somewhere else to get rid of these things. And we just see the initial, oh, we got all this for free. I'm going to scan it. And I guess, like, I mean, it would be nice if, like, after you scan something and if it was a dud, it would just disappear. It's just like into thin air or something, right? You just wave your wand, boom, it's gone. It just disappears, right? If it's, you'll know if it's a reject because it just disappears from in front of you. You're like, oh, it must have not been profitable. But there's so much more that goes into, selling media, especially in bulk. And don't be scared to bet on yourself, right? Like, I'm curious, David, before we wrap this up, like, how did you get to the point where you decided to spend that much money on the machine? Were you just like, did you win? Did you hit the lottery and you're like, the hell with it, I'm buying one of these? Or was this something you kind of built up to?
I've had other businesses before. So when I looked at doing CDs, and like I said, I did CDs 10 years ago. I know it was a pain in the ass. I just decided to be faster to buy a good machine and not play with it. So when I'm doing bulk now. I'm pretty much, I'll go to the thrift store more or less to go to a thrift store. But if I'm going through my bulk now, if it hits my numbers, it just goes into a bag, and then I take that bag and deal with them. And 95% of the time I can fix that CD. If it has rot or something, it's broken, I obviously can't. But it makes it so much faster. I'm not at the store looking at the CD, checking it out. None of that. I just pick it up and usually can fix it.
Yeah.
And I bought it. I bought a reconditioned one. I think it was like $1,400.
Yeah.
And it costs about 7 cents a disc.
It is a good point to make, right? Because the trade-off that we have versus somebody like Eric is he pops open the case in a thrift store and he's got to pop the CD or DVD out to see if there's scratches. Now, I am guilty of this. I bought empty cases. I used to be real bad with this. I bought empty TV series cases before. Now I actually check to make sure the actual CD or DVD is in there, but I don't have to worry about how bad it is underneath. I just, all right, this is it. I'm buying it regardless. I don't care how scratched it is. I'll cross that bridge when it comes. So I guess that's the trade-off, right? It's like you trade time for time, and if you can, get your time down as minimal as you can, then you're better off. And David had the experience to know, hey, I can make money doing this. I've done this before, so the hell with it. I'm just going to go, all in right away. And I know it's going to make sense in the future. I know it's going to pay off. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Beard King Picker showed up late. If you don't follow him, he's on Instagram and YouTube, Beard King Picker. Nice guy. He sells media. He sells a lot of books on eBay. He's probably sold more books on eBay in a day than I sell all year long. But hey, I don't care about eBay. eBay is what it is. So I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. And everybody have a good week. If you need me, reach out as always.